Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am here to serve. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am here to serve. Yes, I am here to be the love of God, my God. And I know forever more than I am loved. Yes, I know forever more than I am loved. Yes, I am here to learn. Yes, I am here to live. Yes, I am here to be the love of God. Yes, I am here to learn. Yes, I am here to live. Yes, I am here to be the love of God, my God. And I know forever more than I am loved. Yes, I know forever more than I am loved. Yes, I am here to love. Yes, I am here to serve. Yes, I am here to be the love of God, my God, of God, my God, of God, my God.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. As we do each week, we say an affirmation for peace in the Middle East in solidarity with our Muslim and Jewish brothers and sisters, all of us people of the book. And so we greet one another. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you.
And upon you,
Shalom.
alaikum.
Well, as you know, I am Reverend Michelle Vargas, and it is my joy and honor to welcome you this morning to Unity of Monterey Bay. Reverend Vicki is back with us. Yay! But she's trying to not talk too much because the voice is still coming back. She had her procedure, and it seems to have been successful, but don't talk to her too much. Or talk to her, but don't make her talk to you. Yeah, don't ask her questions. But we are glad that she is back with us, and we see her vocal cords continuing to heal and be restored to their perfect state of health and wholeness. So it is. As we create this beloved community with love and intention that welcomes all people, all races, nationalities, cultures, and religions, whatever your immigration status, sexual orientation, gender identity, family configuration, and or ability. And whether you're here with us in person or you're joining us virtually, we know that love knows no bounds and that we are one in spirit. As a purpose-driven church, Unity of Monterey Bay is an inclusive spiritual community committed to co-creating an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, socially just, and compassionate human presence on this planet. We celebrate our oneness, and we honor the God of each of our understanding, affirming the innate good and the divine essence that we know is within each and every individual. Will you please join me now in our statement of faith? There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good, expressing as infinite God beyond us, intimate God beside us, inner God being us, divine love in action. And so it is. So as we allow these truths to deepen within our souls and serve to awaken us into enlightenment for the benefit of all living beings, we share this blessing by Glenn Carty. Blessed be God's verbs. Blessed be God's verbs in our minds, in our mouths, in our hearts, in our actions, and in our connecting. May the verbs of God to love, to include, and care. Be our guide and goal in this time of fear. May the verbs of God grow like well-watered tomatoes, juicy, sumptuous, satisfying, ready to be shared. May we be the verbs of God, noticing those out of sight, hearing those who are silent, a shelter for those without. Blessed be God's verbs in our minds, in our mouths, in our hearts, in our actions, and in our connecting. And so now let us affirm together. Thank you, God, for this most amazing day. Miracle follows miracle, and wonders never cease. It's the time when we celebrate our children, those in our spiritual community, in our own families, neighborhoods, larger community, all the children around the world, and our own inner children. Holding them in our hearts and seeing them protected and resilient, creative and evolving, joyous and loved. So will you please join me in our heartfelt blessing for our children? We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you just the way you are.
This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Our resident big kid, Walter. Oh, congratulations and blessings on your new wee one.
Oh, wow.
The day after my birthday.
So how old is the new one now?
The little one?
Yeah,
She's about 5 days.
5 days, and it's a girl. And what's her name?
Sloan Elizabeth.
Sloan.
Elizabeth.
The
Wow.
only one in the entire family is a great-granddaughter. And guess who's that?
Oh, well, we send all of our blessings to little Sloan. Okay, so as we take a deep breath in now and let it out with an audible sigh, let's do that together. Sigh it out. We center ourselves to embrace this blissful interconnection with Spirit, and we invite the chime to call us into this sacred space within. We ring the chime 4 times to call in the 4 directions and to remind us of our interconnection with all of creation and with the sacred circle of life. As we feel it resonate through our very beings, we follow its call into this now present moment within. Focusing now on our breath, with each inhale, we open our hearts and minds. We envision our breath reaching every cell of our being. And with each exhale, we see all barriers and obstacles dissolving into the divine flow. And again, as we inhale, we expand the spaciousness within us. We move beyond the limitations and boundaries of our bodies. And as we exhale, we ground ourselves deep within Mother Earth and into our oneness with the universe. Finally, we breathe our awareness into the highest expression of love, light, joy, and peace we can imagine. And as we experience a transforming wave of gratitude with a fullness of heart, we say yes to it all. Embracing, claiming, and knowing the divine Christ Spirit expressing in, through, and as us. And so now with a final exhale, we say, thank you, God. Fully centered now and transformed by the power of Spirit, we enter into our lesson and meditation time with today's daily word.
We read from the January 24th Daily Word, shared with permission of Unity, publisher of Daily Word, that can also be found at dailyword.com. And the word is shine. I invite you to allow my words to be your words. I shine my divine light into the world. During times of meditation, prayer, or any other spiritual practice, I feel as though the loving light of God is shining directly upon me. These wonderful interludes uplift and comfort me, letting me know I am one with all God is. In this place of oneness, I feel a glow with the light of God. This divine light shines within me and blesses me with deep feelings of peace and joy. The light also shines from me, radiating into the world and all those I meet. I share the fruits of spiritual living in all my encounters. I am peaceful, even in tense situations. I am kind, even if others are not. I am centered, even if chaos swirls around me. As I encounter the ups and downs of daily life, I shine the light of God. And from scriptures, the Lord makes his face to shine upon me and be gracious to you.
I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. I am here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. You are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all, greater good of all. We are here for the greater good of all, greater good of all.
In witness to the wisdom of the middle paths to the sacred, we read from 5 sacred traditions on this morning's topic, the essential goodness of humanity. From Buddhism, every being has Buddha nature. This is the self. From Hinduism, that which is the finest essence this whole world has, that as its soul. That is reality. That is the self. That art thou. From African traditional religions, Father, Almighty Force, that force which is in everything, come down between us. Fill us until we become like thee. Until we become like thee. From Judaism, so God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. From Christianity, on that day, you
divinity in action. I am prosperity and wealth. I am freedom and forgiveness. I am the epitome of health. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. Though I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. I am a spiral of expansion. I am greater than enough. I am compassionate and trusting. I am strong when it seems tough. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. Though I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. I am endlessly creative. I am intuitively wise. I am here in divine timing. I am the sight beyond my eyes. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. Though I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. I am all that I desire. I am the mirror of God's light. I am faithfully embracing. I am the gift of my birthright. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I am being of a spiritual realm. In truth I am being of a spiritual realm. In truth I am being of a spiritual realm. In truth I am being of a spiritual realm.
So if you can just remember that little ditty, you will have the essence of the second principle down. So when things get crazy and you're caught up in the human experience, which we so often are, we're supposed to, that's the human experience, you can sing that to yourself. Although I am living a human existence, in truth I'm a being of a spiritual realm. And you'll remember. Not remember that none of this matters, but just put it into perspective. That's what we want to do. We want to put it in perspective. So I found myself accidentally starting a Unity Basics series. And last week we began looking at Unity's 5 basic principles by exploring the first principle. And so we're just going to go over that again real quickly. The first principle says there's only one presence and one power active in my life and as the universe, God the good. And so last week we talked about how this principle is sort of the foundation of our unity beliefs, and all the others flow from it. It's the core of how we see the universe, the nature of the universe, of God, and of ourselves. And basically what this principle is saying is that everything is God. That God is everywhere present, that there is no place that God is not. In essence, that God is all there is. And the most important part, I think, of that statement is the following part, that one power and one presence that we call God is absolute good, or goodness. And so, therefore, all of creation, everything we know, God and everything else is good. So this week, we turn our attention to the nature of human beings specifically, although we are included in that first principle. But just to make it clear, we state it again, right? And so our second principle says, and this is just one of many versions, okay? There's different ways to state it. Human beings have a spark of divinity within them, the Christ Spirit within. Their very essence is of God, and therefore they are also inherently good. Now, as I said, this is sort of redundant, because we've already said that God is all there is, and it's all good. So we didn't really need any of the other principles. But I think that it needed to be redundant, because I think we needed to hear it again, right? I think that it is so hard for us humans to believe in our own inherent goodness that it needed to be stated specifically again and clear as a bell so that we could not allow ourselves to miss it. Okay? I sometimes think that humans may more easily accept a God of pure goodness than accept that we are good. What do you think? How do you feel about that second principle? Are you able to say fully that you believe that humans are inherently good, even with everything that we're seeing? Because that's the key. It's easy to do if someone is being super wonderful and nice to you and kind to you. You're like, yeah, humans, man, those are good. Those humans are good. Can we continue to believe that when we're seeing a whole bunch of evidence that seems to be to the contrary? And so it's my hope that after this talk today, you'll believe a little more deeply and more strongly in this second principle. So let's look more closely at what exactly the second principle is stating. Like the first, it really has two parts. The first part is that humans have a spark of divinity in us, that our very essence is of God. Okay? As I said, we've already determined that God and creation is all there is and that that is good, so therefore it follows logically that we too are good. Now, there's plenty of evidence for this in the scriptures. This is not something that Unity made up. Right away in the creation story in Genesis, we are told that human beings are made in the image and likeness of God. Well, if God is good and we are made in that image and likeness, then we too must be good. Jesus makes a similar claim, or makes similar claims about human nature. In the gospel accounts, Jesus uses the term the Father to refer to God, to that, not only to God, but to that spark of divinity that we're talking about, that divinity that is within all of us. When he says in the Gospel of John, he tells the disciples, you will realize, this is a little bit of a tongue twister, Larry got a little tongue twisted on that, you will realize that I am in my Father, and you are in me, and I am in you. Okay, it's a little confusing, but basically we're all in each other. And it's all divinity. All of it. Also in the Gospel of John, Jesus takes it even a step further and calls us gods when he challenges us. Is it not written in your law that you are gods? Or if you like the what do you call it? The King James Version, that ye are gods. That sounds cooler, right? Ye are gods. And as Jesus often did, he was not making up these words. He was referring back to the Hebrew scriptures, which Jesus knew forward and backward. And he was referring specifically to Psalm 82, verse 6, which says, you are gods, you are all sons and daughters of the Most High. Okay, so again, the idea that humans have that divinity within us and our expressions of God is not some newfangled unity idea, but clearly there is evidence for this in both the Christian and the Hebrew scriptures. Now, the second part of Unity's principle, second principle, says that because our essence is of God, we too are inherently good. Now, this is where some of us get stuck. Am I right? Why is it so hard for us to believe in our own inherent goodness? Is it because we were told that we were sinners in our religious upbringing? Is it because we're so bogged down with our own perceived human imperfections and failings that we can't believe in our own greatness, in our own worth? I think that both of those things contribute to it, but I actually think it's more than that. I think it's hard for us to believe in or to embrace our own goodness because if we did, it might mean that we would have to change our behavior. If I had a mic, I would drop it. You see, as long as we believe that we are sinners, we feel we can't really be blamed for our sometimes less than stellar behavior. I mean, sinner's gonna sin, right? Player's gonna play and sinner's gonna sin. But think about that. To embrace the truth of our own inherent goodness might mean we would have to up our game. We might have to start to live into that goodness. We might have to stop making excuses for ourselves and our failings and stop letting ourselves off the hook by identifying ourselves as sinners. If we were to step into the truth of our own essential goodness, we might have to start facing our own shadow and coming to terms with it. If we were to come to believe that we are born good and not born sinners, we would have to accept that when we sin, when we miss the mark, we are making a choice. And we might have to become responsible and accountable for our own actions. I think for a lot of people it's easier to just embrace the idea that we're born sinners. We can't help it. It's our nature. Sinner's going to sin. Because make no mistake about it, in Unity we don't identify ourselves as sinners, but we do sin. I've probably already sinned 10 times today. I don't know about you guys. We miss the mark, right? We fail to live up to our own essential goodness. My metaphors are getting a little out of hand. Check this one out. Human beings are inherently good in the same way that a piece of IKEA furniture is inherently wooden. Yes, I did. That came right out of this brain right here. Now you know the inner workings. So that essence is there. But we often show up on your doorstep as something quite different. A flat 2-inch tall box, right? Something that might be made up of 5,000 pieces of inherent goodness, but it has yet been assembled into anything functionally good. Thank you very much. Again. We have the capacity to be good. I know that thing is a bookcase, even though it's only this tall. We have the capacity to be good, but we don't always show up as good, right? We don't always live as if we were inherently good. We make mistakes. We fall short of the mark. We act in selfish and fearful and hurtful ways. In essence, we sin. Okay, now, if humans are essentially good, why do we sin? I got to take a drink on that. That is the question. And I don't have all the answers, but my best guess is that it's because we have free will. We have free will. Remember the creation story that I talked about last week, and it was like just one possible idea that you could, hold in your head of why all this is here? Because God wanted to experience itself in relationship with itself and therefore brought forth all of creation. Well, somehow in that process of bringing forth creation to experience that relationship, we were given free will. It's just part of the plan, right? I mean, we weren't created as robots, like duplicates of this perfect God to just go out there and do good, It just isn't why. It's just wasn't the plan for that to be the case. We were given this free will. So, created as expressions of God, but in this kooky cosmic experiment, we've been given the opportunity to live as humans, and in that experience, to have free will, so that we could go out and use our human experience in whatever way we choose. And every single day of our human lives on this planet, we get to choose. We get to choose what we are going to do with that gift of free will. Now, sometimes we use it in beautiful and wonderful and creative and selfless and life-giving and life-sustaining ways that uplift others and showcase the brilliance of human goodness. And sometimes we use it to be mean and petty, small and spiteful, vengeful, greedy, fearful, dishonest, violent, and even cruel. So humanity runs the gamut, that full spectrum in terms of how we have chosen to use this free will that we have been given. So it's a spectrum. Let's see, left to right. So over here, you would have, so there's the two extremes. Some people show up on these extremes, right? You've got these people over here so good that they're saintly, right? They're enlightened, infinitely giving and caring and loving and nonviolent. The Mother Teresas, the Mahatma Gandhis, the Nelson Mandelas, the Martin Luther King Jr.'s. Okay? Then, of course, on this end, there are those who show up as deeply wounded. And out of that woundedness, they choose to use their free will in pretty horrific and destructive ways. I was going to name some, but I think let's not invoke their names. We know who they are. Right? I was going to talk, mention some like really despots and serial killers, but why? Why would I want to say their names? You know what I'm talking about. Okay, so there are those extremes, but the vast majority of us don't come down at either extreme, but fall somewhere in the middle. We mostly act in good, loving ways, a good part of the time, but sometimes we fall short and we act in greedy or selfish ways. And often when we do that, we hurt others. But for the most part, we're all a mixed bag. If there's one thing I have learned in this life, it is that we are all a mixed bag. So this is the difference between our essence and how we choose to show up. Our essence is our nature. This is what the second principle is talking about. It is our makeup. It is the very core of who we are. But our essence is not the same as the way we act or how we choose to show up on any given day. Because again, we're given that free will, and sometimes we use it to make good decisions, and sometimes we use it to make bad decisions. And when we make bad decisions, when we do hurtful, greedy, selfish things, we are acting in, air quotes, evil ways. Okay? Maybe not us, others. Not us. when folks do those things, they may be acting in evil ways, okay? But evil is not their essence. Okay, so people can do what seem like evil things. But in this belief system, which I have and many others have chosen to believe, their essence can never be evil. Because last week we talked about that it's all God and it's all good. Okay? So do you understand the difference that people can do evil things, but in unity we deny the existence of an evil power? Okay? That's the difference. We don't deny that evil acts exist. It's like when I was learning basic parenting in parenting classes. You tell the child what they did wrong. You say, you did this. You don't say, you are. You call out the behavior, not the essence of the child. If you say to them, you're bad or you're awful, that's going to do some damage. But if you say what you did was bad, that's a different thing. That's correctable. So the vast majority of us are going to fall in the middle of that spectrum most of the time. For the most part, we are good in our actions, we do good, and we occasionally mess up and act out of our own egos, our own fears, and our own woundedness. Most of us, thank God, are never going to commit heinous acts. But we do have to understand that all of us have that capacity within us. We all have the potential for both good and bad within us. Even Martin Luther King Jr. himself, whose life we celebrated this past Monday, said, "There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us." But the best part of what he said comes after that, because he said, when we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies. So when we realize that we all have the potential to be both good and bad, we're less prone to demonize others who might act in ways that we find evil. And it's not that we should ever excuse that behavior, but when we vilify and hate those who do evil, are we not just perpetuating that same hate that made them act that way in the first place? We need to cultivate humility. And when others fail to be their best selves, we can learn to say to ourselves internally, "There, but for the grace of God, go I." Right? I may not want to admit it, but I have some of that, whatever it is, anger, reactiveness, selfishness, greed. I have some of that in me too. This is how we keep from othering people to the point that we dehumanize them. Because if we fall into the temptation to dehumanize others, then we have crossed over into bad behavior and are no longer showing up as our essential goodness. The essential goodness, the Christ within, would not vilify bad behavior, would not tolerate it, would not condone it, but would not vilify it and dehumanize the person. Now, I'm not saying that this is easy. And I am very reluctant to propose that you all do things that I don't feel like I can at least kind of sort of try to do myself. So I'm not saying this is easy. To keep from condemning and vilifying people whose behavior we abhor. It's hard. We love to abhor evil because it makes us feel righteous. Look at that person over there. They are so bad. Meanwhile, I'm feeling righteous, right? It takes the heat off of us and our own failings and places it squarely where we want it, on someone else who we have deemed is worse than us. Well, I might be bad, but I'm not that bad. Am I right? It is so much easier to look at someone else's bad behavior and say, how can that person be like that? I think I've said that about 300 times this week. I would never do that. This insulates us from looking at our own ways that we fall short, that we miss the mark, that we sin. And most importantly, it keeps us from having to come to terms with our own shadow. Because we all have a shadow. And essentially, what we're doing when we're saying, I'm bad, but I'm not that bad, is we are projecting our shadow onto that person. And so we go around and project this shadow of ours onto other people. You know, the most annoying thing I was ever taught in 12-step is whenever you're pointing your finger, there's 4 fingers pointing back at you. Love that one. But it's true. It's true. Whatever we find ourselves calling out all the time in others, pretty sure some of that is in us and we are projecting it out. This is just Jungian psychology, right? And there are plenty of people out there who lend themselves to our projections because there are people doing lots of bad things. So it's really easy to go around pointing out our shadow in other people. I'm really good at that. In order to stop projecting that shadow outside of ourselves and demonizing those who do evil, we have got to do the very hard work of learning to love and embrace and accept our own imperfect selves. And to embrace our own shadow, our own humanness, the ways in which we fail to live up to that essential goodness every single day. And we have to learn to love and accept our shadow so that it can be reintegrated back into the whole, and we can stop projecting it out onto others. Now, if you were shamed a lot as a child, this is particularly challenging work. And if you have that situation, like I have, I recommend getting lots of help and support around that. Okay, so let's talk again about this church doctrine that labels humans as sinners, because a lot of us grew up with that, right? That our essential nature is sinful. I can remember hearing that as a young child, and even as a young child, I was like, whoa, that doesn't sound right. Because I was being told that it was a sin to do something very human. I think it was coveting your, we were learning about the commandments, and it was, coveting your neighbor's arse, ass, whatever. Donkey. I was coveting my friend's bicycle. And the little picture we had in Sunday school said that that was a sin. And I was like, wow, I really want that bicycle. Now I'm a sinner? Even as 8 years old, that didn't feel right to me. Now, Unity does not use that language, and that's one of the things that so many of us loved about Unity when we first came. We don't call ourselves sinners. We don't talk about original sin. We say that we are original blessings. But let's not get carried away now. I always like to remind people that it is one thing for us to move away from that damaging language of calling people sinners, and quite another to imply that we are somehow free from sin. Okay? We may not be sinners, meaning sinner is not our essential nature, but make no mistake, we sin. And we shouldn't shy away from admitting that or looking at the ways that we sin, because if we cannot look at our own faults, if we cannot observe the ways in which we are acting selfishly, greedily, angrily, hurtful, we can never hope to change ourselves or to grow emotionally or spiritually. Self-awareness, especially having the bravery to look at our own shadow, is the key to spiritual growth. It's an unfortunate fact. I'm just telling you the facts, people. It is. It's not fun, but it is the work. Okay. So now let's talk about Jesus, whom in Unity we call our way shower. Traditionally, Jesus is described as being completely sinless. I believe that that was meant to show his divinity. And maybe he was sinless. Maybe he wasn't. I don't know about that. I know he lived as a human, and humans are imperfect. So take that, what conclusion you take from that. Now, there very well may have been others in history, throughout history, hundreds of thousands of years of human history. I'm sure he wasn't the only one. But to my knowledge, he is the only human being in recorded history who seems to have been able to show up as love and goodness and kindness and compassion at all times. At least that's how it is recorded in the gospel stories. Now, I don't know whether he was sinless or not, but for me, that doesn't matter. That would not discount his divinity. This is why in unity we say that we are different from Jesus, not in kind, but in degree. So we have the same essence as Jesus. We just don't show up that way. Again, free will. But Jesus, as we know, said that we would do everything that he did and do even greater things. So he set the bar very high for us because he knew that we had a choice of how we want to use this human experience and how we want to show up. And so Jesus and the life that he lived as told in the gospel narratives is our model. Charles Fillmore called him the ideal man, meaning that in him, humanity's goodness was fully realized, was fully manifested. Jesus, in unity, represents the absolute best of human nature in action, in the way he lived and in the things that he did. And again, although the same human goodness that was in Jesus is in us, the vast majority of us will never attain that level of spiritual realization. Like Vicky says, I don't plan to ascend today. Maybe tomorrow, but not today. But that doesn't mean we are to let ourselves off the hook. Again, that's where people get caught up. Jesus is way up here, we're way down here, lowly sinners. Then why did he say we would do even greater things? I believe that our call is to follow Jesus' example and every day on this planet aspire to the highest level of realized goodness that we can attain in this lifetime. Some days we're going to do a really good job and some days we are not. But we get up the next day and that is still our call. All right. So, we had a new president inaugurated this past Monday. And he has appointed a cabinet full of interesting folks. And he is surrounding himself with some interesting folks, including one who brazenly did the Nazi salute 2 times in front of the whole world. And I, like many of you, am hurt and angry and incensed and afraid of what it means to have people like this at the highest levels of power in our country. These folks, by their demonstrated actions, don't share my values of openness, acceptance, kindness, compassion, of helping the vulnerable, the poor, the elderly, the marginalized, the disenfranchised. Now, I don't care what party they are from. I care how they act and how they treat people. And I care about the laws that they put in place that can either help or harm people. I don't believe in tearing immigrant or migrant families apart. I don't believe in refusing political asylum to those who are seeking it. I don't believe in backing out of agreements and organizations that are meant to protect the environment and to promote world health. I don't believe in passing laws that invalidate a person's truest self. And I certainly don't believe in making gruesome hand gestures that stand for and invoke hate and oppression and horrible memories of genocide and violence for so many of our brothers and sisters. I believe that the people who are doing these things and who stand for these things, who are promoting these agendas are misguided, ignorant, greedy, and selfish, and are acting out of the worst of human nature. And I will speak out against them, I will vote against them, and I will call out their behavior whenever appropriate. But my spiritual beliefs still compel me to see them as human beings, made in the image and likeness of God, with that same spark of divinity within them that I claim to have in myself, with that same capacity for kindness and compassion within them, and that inherent goodness as their true nature. Because if I dehumanize them, and I have been guilty of that, if I dehumanize them in my own heart or in my words or in my actions, if I deny them that basic goodness that I know is the truth of their being, then I have become more like them than I want to be. This is our challenge. To call out inhumanity without dehumanizing those who perpetuate it. To call out greediness and cruelty and violence without becoming those things ourselves. It is not easy, and we will not do it perfectly. But the more we hold as our highest truth the essential goodness of both ourselves and all others, even or especially those with whom we strongly disagree, the more we are affirming that essential goodness of all humans, of God, and of all creation. And the more we affirm that inherent goodness of humanity, the more we call forth that goodness in ourselves and in others. That is our call. And as the late, great President Jimmy Carter once said, the bond of our common humanity is stronger than the divisiveness of our fears and prejudices. So let us do our best not to fall prey to the same fears and prejudices of those with whom we disagree. We will not do it perfectly, but we can hold the high watch for one another and support one another in this important work. And President Jimmy Carter also made it clear what is ours to do as people of faith when he said that we are to do all the good we can, wherever we can, whenever we can, for as long as we can, with whatever we have, to try to make a difference.
All beings of love, all beings of peace, all beings of love, all beings of peace. We are love. We are peace. All beings know love. All beings know peace. All beings know love. All beings know peace.
So we've come to that time when we have an opportunity to get quiet, to settle into our seat, bring some relaxation into our bodies, bring an awareness into our bodies, feeling our bodies sitting here, resting on the pew beneath us. Just acknowledging whatever is present for you this morning. Whatever is on your heart, whatever may be going on in your body this morning, just letting it be there. Everything belongs. Inviting it in. And allowing your breath to deepen so that you're taking some fuller, deeper breaths in. And sighing on the exhale. Allowing the belly to expand on those deep breaths, signifying or signaling to the nervous system to rest, that you are safe in this moment. And so we're going to dig right in and do some of this hard work this morning. So begin to bring your awareness to your heart area, and you might want to place a hand there to support your awareness of that heart center and that heart energy, quickening its power. You might imagine that you're breathing into and out of the heart area. Allowing the head and the intellect to drop down so that it becomes more aligned with the heart wisdom. Settling into that knowing, that place where we know truth, where we know love and peace. And we know the truth of our own essential goodness. That spark of divinity, that Christ within. And allowing that heart energy now to expand out from the heart so that it encompasses your whole body. Flooding your own body with that loving heart energy. Letting it go to the places that need healing, that need repair. And sending our own selves loving kindness, metta. As you repeat these words internally to yourself. May I be well. May I be safe. May I be free from suffering. May I be at peace. And now expanding out that circle of that heart energy, letting it flow out to all those sitting around you, flowing out to fill up this sacred building, escaping through the windows and doors and cracks so that it is going out to bless our community, our state, our country, our planet. As we repeat these words internally, may you be well. May you be safe. May you be free from suffering. May you be at peace. And now taking a deep breath in, we seek to expand that circle to include the most difficult people in our lives. Those who act in ways that we find unacceptable. Those who are wounded, acting out, hurting others, committing acts of inhumanity. You don't have to see their faces, but just call their spirits into this circle, including them in this ever-expanding sphere of loving energy coming straight from our own human hearts. And including ourselves again now in this circle, repeating these words. May we be well. May we be safe. May we be free from suffering. May we be at peace. Including all living beings, all of creation, in this heartfelt wish. And sustaining that heart energy going out to those difficult folks to the best of your ability for just a moment in the silence. Expressing now to ourselves our deepest wish and our deepest commitment to learn to call out inhumanity in others without dehumanizing those who perpetrate it.
All beings know love. All beings know peace. All beings know love. All beings know peace. We are love. We are peace. All beings know love. All beings know peace. All beings know love. All beings know peace.
As we prepare to bring this time to a close, we bless this prayer that we have generated here together this morning, seeing it going out to do its mighty work in the world. And so we are grateful for these teachings, for this awakening, for this community which supports us always in returning to the truth of our own and others' essential goodness. And so we say thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Unity of Monterey Bay is the collective consciousness and commitment of all of us who give up our time, treasure, and talent in order to sustain this spiritual community that is dedicated to transforming lives. We know that prosperity is a state of mind that finds blessings in every situation, and abundance in joyous generosity. We transform all appearance of fear or lack into faith-filled peace of mind by shifting our thoughts of gratitude for the abundance of God's good in our lives. As the ushers come forward, I invite you to think of something specific you're grateful for in this moment. I'd like to say that I've given a shout out for Reverend Vicky, and I'm sure I've given a shout out for Reverend Michelle, but I'm going to give a shout out for Reverend Denise Headley. I don't know if she goes by Reverend, but she's been really good as a Reverend. I mean, as a person who heard us cats in the music world. And also, she sends out some really nice pictures early in the morning, sunrise pictures. I don't know if you've seen them on Facebook. She says she takes them with her iPhone, but I have to believe her. So I'm not going to give a shout out to Sue today. This shout out is for Denise Head, and I'm grateful for her. I invite you to think, yeah, okay. And now with our hearts open and our minds overflowing with gratitude, we breathe into this divine flow of God's good, trusting that we are enough, that we have enough, and that there always is enough to both have and share. We give thanks for all the ways you give in person, online, monthly bank auto payments, using our QR code and from the pews or from the stream, or your credit card in sacred ground. We ask that everyone join in faith and gratitude as we pass the offering baskets this morning by holding and blessing the baskets as it passes to you. And now please join me in our offertory blessing. I
An open channel for God's infinite good, divine love flowing through me, blesses and multiplies everything I give and everything I receive. I am both blessed and a blessing. Thank you, God.
Go out and shine your light. You know the time is right. You're gonna go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Go out and shine your light. You know the time is right. You gotta go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Step out and take a chance. Walk the talk, join the dance. Relax, enjoy the ride. Let kindness be your guide. You gotta go out and shine your light. You know the time is right. You gotta go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. One voice, one hand, one heart. Wanna change, make a start. We're one big family. What's good for you is good for me. Come on and go out and shine your light. You know the time is right. You gotta go out and shine your light. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Go out and shine. Yeah.
So it is with great joy that we bless. It is with great joy that we bless and give thanks for these gifts and offerings that demonstrate our collective commitment to the spiritual work of love and transformation in our lives and in our world. We dedicate this offering, our lives, and this ministry to more fully expressing the Christ light that is the truth of our being and inviting all people to know God's love. Finally, knowing that one with God, all things are possible, we affirm together that the good is now, the rest is blessed, and the best is yet to be in our lifetime. Gently. Thank you, God, and thank you, ushers. Well, I'll shout out Sue. She did an awesome job today. And we also want to thank for our wonderful music today, Sue Riley, Glenn Rothel, Melinda Wood Allen, Richard Burdick, Chandra T. Jefferson, David Roth, and Daniel Namod. And, of course, our awesome music team. John's back there on drums. You can't see him, but you can hear him. We are having Church of the Wild today. I see now why you had changed it to 2:30. Do you think I'm going to make it by 2, or should I make it 2:30? How long do you think that we have a council meeting after the service? Think I'll make? Okay. So let's keep it at 2, just because that's what people are used to, and I don't want to cause. It says 2 up there. It says 2 up there. I think it said 2 in the e-blast, but I'm not sure. Okay, so Church of the Wild at 2 o'clock today at Via Paraiso Park. The cleanup had to get postponed because it rained and we're not allowed to clean up in the rain. So cleanup will be next Saturday, February 1st. Oh my goodness. What happened to January? Whew. So we are still needing folks to help out with cleanup, the highway cleanup. So if you're able to do that, see Walter. Save the date, February 9th is going to be our Calling the Circle and potluck. So if there's any confusion, I know a couple of folks have been asking me, everyone is invited to come to the Calling the Circle meeting. It's a congregational meeting that we have, our bylaws require us to have once a year. So everyone can come. Only current active members can vote. All we're doing is voting to confirm new board members. We're not. Everyone can come and share their ideas and everything. So I had been asked what the voting thing was about. So that's the only difference. And again, if you're interested in becoming a member and you're not already, see me or Vicki so that we can, I know we have one person. And if there's anybody else, we'd love to get together a few folks so that we can do a celebration when we install you as members. All right. As we bring our service to a close this morning, we are so grateful that you have joined us, whether you're here in person or you're watching us on Facebook Live or watching later on our YouTube channel. We're so grateful that you spent this time with us. We hope we made you feel at home in our Unity of Monterey Bay community. And most importantly, we want you to know that wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. If it's your first time with us today, make sure you pick up a newcomer packet. Ask the ushers, or there should be some on that back table. Chaplain on duty today is Sue. She's available to pray with you after the service, so we give thanks for her prayerful service as well as that of all of our prayer chaplains who are always holding the high watch, praying over all of the prayer requests that come in by all the different channels, holding that high watch for our community. So thank you, prayer chaplains. All right, we're ready to form our closing circle for our prayer for protection and our peace song. Okay. What's happening? It's okay. It's all right. Yeah. Okay. So as we form this, bye Pat, we love you. As we form this closing circle of prayerfulness and community, holding all those in this circle this morning, holding all those that are on our hearts, that are on our prayer request list, that are in need of prayer in our own lives and our own community, and then inviting in all those in need of prayer this morning, all around the world, migrants who are fearful, children who are being separated from their parents, those who are fearful to be themselves, holding all of these dear ones in our hearts, lifting them up and seeing the truth of their essential goodness shining through, and knowing that to be the truth of all of us.
Amen.
Yes. And so will you please join me in our prayer for protection? The light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.